John, sis, you being this insecure at this point in time is so unattractive. TV, television, music, movies, boom. I have been doing Netflix series, which I have not stopped because I have only going through a couple of them and I've been watching them a couple of times. But today we're gonna do Game of Thrones. I decided to do Game of Thrones because even though some of the season is a touch longer, and when I say a touch, I mean a touch, and it's not every episode. This episode of the final season, the first one was the regular time. It was still like an hour. So yeah, I might as well go on and knock it out because they have a tendency to be like, we have all this time, but then actually not a lot actually happened. So yeah, and I'm actually gonna do a mask today. I know you hadn't seen one in a minute because I told you about some of my skin issues, which you can see because I don't have any makeup on to do this. But we're gonna start out with the Origins Maskimizer again. I don't think this does anything, but I'm going to go ahead and try to use it up. It's supposed to help your mask seep in more, so this is just being extra. And the mask we're using today is the Origins as well. Clear Improvements Active Charcoal to Clear Pores Mask. Alright, and I'm gonna be looking down in my impressions mirror. And you only wear this mask for like 5 to 10 minutes. So it's one of the shorter masks. And I just put it on with a brush. You can do this with a foundation brush, but yeah, I was being extra. Alright, so I see that everyone was hype about, the Game of Thrones starting back. This is the new season, which I'm glad because it's like, Lord have mercy, stop with the promo. We get it. Come on with it. That's the way I've been feeling. Yeah, and most of the promos that we see have already happened. At least the ones that were, little teasers from the season, because this all basically took place in Winterfell on the first episode, which we knew because Dany and Jon were on their way to Winterfell. Yeah, okay, I'll just say what basically happened. Dany and Jon and the Unsullied and the Dothraki are coming to Winterfell, and they got their dragons and all this and that. You see the small folks and yada yada yada. In King's Landing, you go there for a second. Euron comes back to Cersei with the Golden Company. She is disappointed because they don't have the elephants, because the elephants do not travel well across the sea, because again, the Golden Company is coming all the way from Essos, and that the elephants don't do well on the water. I do wonder about the logistics of that in like real life, because elephants, although we enjoy them, they are some big lovely creatures. So I'm wondering, well, I guess you could do that in a carrier ship, but they wouldn't have had that in the supposed medieval-esque time that this is supposed to deal with. But well, no. Well, Hannibal had elephants. That's neither here nor there. We're not talking about that. So they can come. She was disappointed. Euron was trying to sleep with her, as he has been. No, not only sleep with her, he wants to marry her. And she hadn't told him after the war. I think this is just a setup that Cersei is going to, turn on him, or they're gonna turn on each other, whichever way it works. I hope that it's just Cersei turning on him, because Euron is awful, not just because he is a villain and is crappy to his family. I just find him as a character to be kind of boring, and I forgot that he was even in this piece. So yeah, that's basically what happened. She does give us a good one-liner about, if you wanted a whore, you can go pay for one, but you gonna have to work for a queen. Even though she turned right around and slept with him, but your body, your choices, whatever. So yeah. And she enlists Bronn, who everybody keeps forgetting that everyone loves Bronn. They overused him so much because he is still alive, and there's people that I'm not gonna get in that kind of rant. But Bronn is, that's one of those extra characters that That's one of their characters that they just kept around for no good reason. He's a sellsword. He's been sent to kill Jaime and Tyrion, particularly Tyrion with the crossbow that killed their father Tywin on the commode. You know, to be poetic justice. So he's heading up to Winterfell because that's where Tyrion and Jaime are headed at this point. So that's basically what happens. Euron has Yara on the ship. Yara, that's Theon's sister. Theon and the rest of the Ironborn, while Euron is, you know, playing with Cersei, he rescues them, and they take about 3 or 4 ships and go back to the Iron Islands, although it seems that Theon is heading back up north to go help the Starks. That's all that happened. Tyburn is in the mix. So yeah, same old regular characters and the Mountain. And yeah, we do get to see the Golden Company, who are all apparently mute. I didn't know that. Maybe they cut their tongues out because they seem to love to, you know, take out body parts and things. I'm not getting into a eunuch joke or anything like that. That's whack. We still making eunuch jokes. Well, they still making dick jokes, and it's like, come on, y'all. Let's get it together. That's not important. Okay, so the bulk of the story takes place in Winterfell. The opening scene, you do see, you know, you see every Daenerys and Jon walking in, and one of the first people you see of House Stark is Arya, and she does not look pleased that he is sitting side by side next to Daenerys. This is gonna come up again. Yeah, so and the small folks are not excited. The nobles don't bow when either one of them comes. So that's just telling you the mood of Winterfell and Wintertown and just the Northerners in general. Which, you know, how can we blame them? It just seems that, you know, and Jon made this worse. That's why I will always go back to, like, Jon is really being Boo-Boo the Fool. And he has been for a couple of seasons now. It's like, it's okay, I understand that you feel you have to do certain things to get allies or for politics, but you know, you gotta tell your team. And for people that thought that there was a lot of like Sansa was being disrespectful to Dany and Jon. First of all, Jon at this point, forget that parenting reveal, which the way they did it was kind of whack, but I understood it. It was just kind of like, man, but I understood Sam delivering it the way that he did. And I know some people didn't like that, like, oh, it needed to be Bran or somebody. Well, Bran was waiting on Jaime. He was waiting on him at the door. And which was funny. That was one of the best parts of it. Like, he was sitting outside for like 3 days waiting for Jaime to pull up. That is the closing shot of the whole episode. And it was just like, oh. I was like, Bran is so dramatic. It was funny. It wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was. So yeah, but anywho, back to Jon. Jon, at this point, even though he's supposed to be Aegon the 6th of his name, the rightful heir, which that is still can be argued, question mark, but because they're still trying to play this straight, that's just like, they don't understand. This goes back to, I think, why people have issues with Jon as a story when talking about like Rhaegar and Lyanna, is that the way that they set it up, that is not how annulments work. Annulments did not work like that. And there's first of all, Rhaegar was not the king. Only the king can grant an annulment. That's the first one. Second one, is hard to get an annulment now because you had to prove that you didn't have any kind of relations, and we know that's not the case because Rhaegar had 2 full healthy children, one of whom's name, the boy, whose name is Aegon. So somehow we're still supposed to think that he's so noble or that Lyanna's so great because they were in love. It's like, no, boo, you had a whole family, and regardless of how you felt about your wife, because everybody like, well, she wouldn't mind because she's Dornish, which is racist. And it's like, and the only people you actually see who have like an open relationship was Oberyn and his paramour, Alaria Sand, which they jacked up all of Dorne's storyline, so we're not gonna get into that because that could be a whole separate video, boo boo, that won't have nothing to do with the math, because I would sit here ranting for the better part of like an hour. But with that, it's like that is not actually how it works, because actually they are conservative in certain areas. It's like, you know, marriage is marriage, kids are kids. They have a better view on bastards, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna let you sit up and misplace my children. But there's also that thing about this show is weird, and this also is working against Jon to build him up as a character, that the writers did for him, put him in so much plot armor. It's like the way that Catelyn feels about Jon, for real. I'm not talking about just show, I'm talking about books. She does not hate Jon, but we cannot ignore that he is a threat to her children, which he is. And this doesn't mean that, and she brings it up in another point. I'm not going to talk about the books a whole bunch, but she brings this up and it never comes up in the show, but this is an important point. It's not so much about Jon. We know that Jon loved Robb and he loved all the kids love each other. She did not stop her children from having a relationship with him. She didn't stop him not having an education. He had the same education, same clothes, own room, this, that, you know, other bastards of the realm dreamt of. But she didn't have no interaction with him. She basically, you know, put her foot down and was like, I'm not going to raise him. Any decision that you make, Eddard, is this that's about your son, that's your son. And that is what it is. So like, him, even from the beginning, that first episode, Catelyn didn't tell him to go outside. He can't be at the party. That was not her call. Ned made them calls. Because you do, and I was like, and I get it from Ned's point of view, because you still got to make him seem like he's a bastard, because you don't want to do any kind of thing that would kind of cause questions. And actually, I could see him wanting to sit him outside because, again, Robert was his best friend, so it would be in the best interest to actually let Jon not be in his line of sight, because you start looking and you start thinking certain stuff won't add up. And I would know that if I'm your best friend. Like the timetables, even for like even Jon's birth and the time and all of that, and how nobody else knew, and this, that, even though there's someone else alive who knows all this information, so that can come up and be a point. So that is why Jon was not in the mix, and that ain't got nothing to do with Catelyn. But the thing is, he is a threat to her children, whether he wants to or not. So it's not just him himself, it's just like, so if you legitimize him, he goes on to have these children who don't know Robb, because at this point everybody's alive, so Robb would have been the Lord of Winterfell. Tell me when they are, but when Cat and Ned are dead and gone, you know, just saying, if none of the other stuff of Game of Thrones happened and they just had normal lives. So you legitimize him, which I can see Robb doing, because which he kind of does in the book, but I don't know what that letter is, and that's neither here nor there. So what is to say when after, not even necessarily Jon's children, but like Jon's grandchildren and great-grands, so they don't know the regular Starks, they don't know the Starks from Winterfell. And so will they get to start and feel like, hey, we got the blood of the first men, we are, you know, we're technically Starks, and this, that, and I think we would be better to rule the North. So you rise up against your legitimate cousins, which that has happened in the North before. That's what happened with the Grey Starks. That is what happened, and honestly in the show, that's what happened with the Karstarks, and that has happened with the Targaryens. That's the whole Blackfire rebellion. They had a war that went on for the better part of 100 years. Because one of them fools, one of the Aegons, I believe, on his deathbed legitimized all his bastards, and he had buku bastards. And so that started a war. So that has been the ongoing issue with bastardom. So I think for them to remove context from things does not do John any favors. It just made John, like in this episode, he seemed whiny. And a lot of this could have been avoided if John did his due diligence and sent, word home. It's just like, it takes you had to be traveling for at least a month. And you did not once write signs of who you left in charge, who is the lady, the Lord of Winterfell, because Bran gave up his position. She's older and she's the oldest at this point. And even though they voted you in, you decided to bend the knee and gave up your titles. So, and then you brought up all like 100,000 people that we all got to feed somehow. That's just the people. And the dragons is eating like 18 sheep a day apiece. So, and then you want to be snarky because I'm bringing that up as the point. And then, Daenerys is such a fool, which that's why I think, I'm not going to say anybody is above dying, but I don't know if she gonna make it, boo-boo, because she ain't got good sense. Like, and she says that, your sister doesn't have to like me, but she's gotta respect me. Like, ma'am, no, you came into my house guns ablazing with your hands open. And it's like, first of all, Sansa did not invite you up there. John has no authority at this point because, again, he gave up his position. And that's the bottom line. And I know it's making some people see that y'all would never have to bring it up that Sansa is right. Sansa has been right for a minute now. Like, she's also been right that, White Walkers and all the stuff coming to the north to get us is a problem, but regular people are still a problem too. So what's gonna happen if she doesn't want to give any of the food that they stored up? She had enough food stored up for 2 years for the people that was there and the people that were coming in the north. But you bought that on top of 100,000. You bought 100,000 people plus 2 dragons. And you gave the Night King a dragon, which is the other main point. So, like, sis, why would I be excited about you being here? You getting the attitude and that little quip, well, they eat dragons eat everything. We about to find out what dragons taste like. It's what it's like if it gets like that. Because I think, like, them doing this whole scorpion and all that, I feel like it ain't actually gonna take all of that to kill a dragon. I feel like maybe even a regular crossbow through the eye might get a dragon. I was like, wouldn't it be a mess if it really don't take all that to kill a dragon? And we can give them a break because I don't care about them as much as other people do. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be like, wow, Jon and Daenerys are riding dragons together. I don't care about that. Where's Ghost? Ghost, where is he? I don't care if he ain't doing nothing spectacular. I need to see him just, laying in the floor by the fire, laying in the hall, listening to y'all sit up and have this debate, even though there are some things that are not above debate. So I do like that, the Northern Lords and Sansa kind of got Jon and Daenerys together. I think this is maybe one of the first instances, even though Meereen would count too, but these people are lords, so she's not dealing with the lay people. And because it's just like if you kill them, you still got the problem of the Night King coming, and you still got Cersei done bought this whole army too. They still very much a problem. I love the way people try to act like that's not really a big deal. It's like she's still a problem. And another thing about Sansa being right, she kind of called Tyrion on his bluff because he was just like, oh well, Cersei said she was gonna hit with her army. Like, no one besides Sansa had considered, especially her brothers. This is what really got me. I was like, and this could be poor writing, or a good writing, depending on how you look at it. Because I always thought that Tyrion had an inflated view of himself, of how smart he thinks he is. Like, she had to be the first person to point out, like, well, what if Cersei's just lying, y'all? As she is known to do. Also, just like, Exactly. And her little quip was, it's just like, Sansa was giving me life this episode. Just read it. For people that needed to be read. And I don't think she's finished. Like, just like, you know, and that's gonna cause Daenerys some issues. And, you know, she kept trying to, she even came in like, Sansa ain't no little girl. You know, actually, yeah, Daenerys and Sansa are not that far apart, at least book-wise. I don't know nobody's age on the show. I know when they started out, but I'm not even sure how Daenerys was, how old she was supposed to be on the show starting out. So that's the other thing. But in the book, she's maybe a year and a half older than Sansa. That's about it. So just like it's not a big age difference between Sansa, Jon Snow. Yeah, Sansa, Jon Snow, Rob. Arya was like, skirt. First of all, she knows what she's doing, and she's worried, she's thinking about our family, and you need to do the same. I was like, oh, Arya? See, I was like, well, thank you, especially after that BS y'all pulled last season, that Stark fighting. Like, I was like, Catelyn and Ned's children would never. And that's basically it. I mean, and besides that, there was tension, and Jon was like, trust me, and she was like, I don't like that you have to make all of, even though Arya didn't coddle him, that part of the thing that they make, because they have Jon written so insecure, and he is so moany and wipey, and he's just being a baby. Like, I need you to trust me. I think the follow-up line, instead of Sansa saying I do, should have been, you need to give me a reason to trust you. Because even though I love you, dear brother, that does not mean I trust your decision making. And Jon has a history of poor decisions. Now, some of that is because he does not tell people when he's in a jam what he is thinking, and he's done this several times for the last couple of seasons. He has been blindsiding her with information. It's like, regardless of how you feel about her, if she is the head person of your house, if she is your hand, if she is your right hand, she's part of your council. The council need to know everything before we go talk to everybody else. And then when they was roasting you, which it was a light roast, let's keep it real, because they really could have went in. When they was roasting you in the Great Hall, and you looked over at Sansa, I thought, what was she supposed to do? She found out this information real time, just like everybody else in here. And all they know is that it's like, well, you bent the knee, and it's just like, well, we need them dragons. I was like, at 404, evidence not found at this point. I was like, wouldn't it be a trip if them dragons really can't help with nothing? And the Night King knew you was coming with dragons, because they have had this battle before, the Northerners, and they did not have dragons. So what if all is said and done, the dragons actually really can't help with that? And I do wonder if those dragons are going to stay, if Daenerys is going to stay, because she tends to cut out when there is a jam, because I think the particular jam is going to come up, hopefully it does not come out to after the battle, after they get past this, that Jon has a better claim than she does, because they decide to make him a legitimate heir on this show. But that's just like I have always said, I think Jon's name is Jon. I don't know. Aegon existed. That's just shitty. Let's keep it real. If that's what Lyanna and Rhaegar did, who cares about y'all being in love? Like, that bothered me. It's like, so you, and I was like, and the racial dynamics, because Elia is a brown woman, Elia Martell, and it's just like, so it's like you disown, delegitimize your brown, half brown, visibly brown children to get your perfect white baby to fit into a prophecy. Yikes! Do y'all see the dynamics of that? That sounds crazy. I have talked too long, and this has been a lot. I need to get this off my face. The last thing that happens is that Sam Samuel goes to, you know, just say hey, because Jorah, for whatever reason, who could not remember Sam's name for whatever reason, you knew his name was Samuel Tarly. This is the man that cured you a grayscale. You don't remember his last name is Tarly. But anywho, Sam, you know, he brings up that might need a little pardon because he took his family sword when in that moment when he left Hornhill and he was mad. But you know, we ain't gonna act like his daddy wasn't awful, but he was not awful to the point, he was not awful to Daenerys that she needed to burn him. That goes back to her lack of diplomacy, and she had done that before. She had did it in Marine when she burnt those masters without asking any questions. And that is not how that's not how anything's gonna get effective. But you should have always knew that Daenerys was a fool when it came to politics, when she was like, I'm a queen, not a politician. Baby, those are one and the same. So, you know, even though he had his issues with his father, which everyone has some kind of issue with their father, like even the Lannister children, Tywin is not a lovable person. He is hard. He was hard on them, I think, but they still love him. That's just like the Stark kids. I think when all this is said and done and the thing about Jon comes up, they are gonna have issues with Ned basically putting them in danger. I do wonder if particularly Sansa and Arya would have issues with that, because it was like he literally left them to the wolves or the lions in this case, and without anyone protecting them, he used them as political pawns, particularly back with Sansa. That's a whole nother topic. I'm not gonna go into it. So would they actually feel away when they actually have time, when all of this is said and done, if they survive and they have to think about it? So everyone's got an issue with their dad, with their parents. But in these particular cases, this would be issues with their dad. That does not mean that you don't love them, and so families are complicated. But I certainly wouldn't think that you should, because my father, who has the right to not bend the knee, because even after Daenerys doing all that, she still has not made any real gains in Westeros. It's like, so everybody knows, you know, wasn't nobody begging the Targaryens to come through to begin with. And then you just burning people like your daddy without just cause. Like, he had the right to say no, and actually he was not the leader of the Reach. He is not the head. The Tarlys are not the liege lords. They are not the wardens of the Reach. So what would that even mean? You know, when they decide, that still goes back to politics. When they decide who is the warden, who is the liege lord of the whole area, then you can get into, you know, people falling in line and all that. But that's feudalism. So this is just like that whole breaking the wheel BS. That sounded real cute, girl, but girl, it seems like you're the wheel. And the Targaryens are the wheel. So I do wonder if A Song of Ice and Fire is actually, people are like, well, they need the Targaryens. I was like, y'all realize The Song of Ice and Fire is Jon. He's literally ice and fire. I was like, that's it. It's not about a particular person. It's like, but he don't need the Targaryens. I do wonder if The Song of Ice and Fire as a book series is actually about the fall of House Targaryen. Because yeah. So I wonder that, and about the rise of House Stark, because Starks are the heart of this. The majority of the people we follow are Starks in the book, and even though the series you have kind of sidelined, particularly the girls, you sidelined them for male characters, but they are the heart of the story. I think all roads lead back to Winterfell and their inhabitants. But yeah, back to Sam, and then, you know, Sam apparently had a good relationship with his brother Dickon. You know, Dickon was burnt up with his father, and so there was no trial. There was nothing like that. You didn't even hear his piece. And I think that Daenerys thought she was gonna roll up into Winterfell like that, but you can't do that when you got your hand out looking for help. So yeah, I was like, I think you done brought all them Unsullied, who are kind of whack in the show. Even though I like Grey Worm, he's the only one that we know of the Unsullied. They're kind of whack, and they're supposed to be this elite fighters. The Dothraki are not dressed for the weather. They don't. And I'm like, and even I wonder if their horses really can handle the terrain of the one, because it's different. that they ain't got time to go into that, but it's different. So you ain't got enough food. All the people you got, it was tent city outside the gates of outside of Wintertown, not even at Winterfell. So we ain't got enough room to put all these people in the nice warm castle or the nice warm town. So it's like, even if y'all, the Night King don't get y'all, the frost and the snow and the starvation is gonna get you, because y'all didn't bring no food because y'all burnt it up like the fools. It's like, and you are that y'all seeing to it that the dragons, who are still hungry after eating 18 sheep a day, they gonna end up, instead if they stay up there, they gonna end up starving to death too. I was like, I feel like when it's all said and done, them dragons gonna need to be put in some stew. It's like they're not bringing anything, and they have slowed down the progress in Westeros. So yeah, I have talked too much. So of course, I keep getting off on a tangent. Sam is obviously heartbroken because this happens to his family, and he's blindsided again. This would go back to, he does ask Jon if he knew. So I am wondering, well, yeah, I gotta go back and look. Did Jon know particularly? I know he knows about the Lannisters. He knew that she burnt up some people, and he knew about the Lannisters. So I wonder if he did know. And you know, that's when the parenting reveal gets dropped down, even though he phrased that so terribly. He was just like, because he let out first that Lyanna Stark was your mother. And I know he thought for a second, oh my goodness, I'm an incest baby. Which they had to do a whole, people was thinking that Jon was an incest baby because they did that parenting reveal so clunky. They had Ned looking like his bio father. It's like, no, Ned's your uncle. Rhaegar Targaryen is your father. That makes you Aegon. It's like, that is not how, I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna try to stop complaining about that. That is not how this works. It's like Rhaegar was not the king, or they don't live in a principality. They live in a kingdom. In a principality, the prince is the king. You know what is a principality? Dorne. So it's like, so their ruling houses are called prince and princesses, like the Romish. That's part of the culture that introduced that's influenced as part of their culture, but they don't have that in the rest of Westeros. So I was like, that is irritating. I was like, but you know, that goes back. Y'all just, whatever rules, just throw them out the window. None of that stuff that just does not make sense. So yeah, she didn't even say she was sorry well, she's not sorry, so what's the point of even lying about that? She didn't say she was sorry about the Tarleys, and of course he was, and Sam is, you know, not only sad, he's pissed off because he brings it up about being a good king. And just like, people also don't realize that, you know, that Sam has always believed in Jon, and Sam is one of the people that helped get Jon elected. He did some rigging of that system to get him elected Lord Commander, which he wasn't ready for that either, because he has poor communication skills, and you can't be cutting people off. You got to communicate with people. That is why he got stabbed at the Night's Watch, and he will keep bringing up that the Night's Watch betrayed him. I was like, that's not betrayal. I was like, dude, you don't realize how this looks to outside people, that you're not giving your main people, the people that are on your side to begin with. Now you got people that ain't never liked Jon Snow. You don't give them but you are not letting anyone help you, and you kept it inside, and it looks like you're a traitor. You look guilty. That's why they stabbed you. That's not betrayal. It's like, you did betray them. You let in the wild, but you wouldn't talk about it. You wouldn't say like, hey, this is why we gotta do this, and this is what's coming, and this is what happened. You didn't say none of that. You was just like, you and Sam talking about, yeah, I saw White Walkers, y'all, and I stabbed them, and that's why and they coming for the wild, so that's why we gotta help them. You didn't say none of that. You were just like, they was people, and I ended up with so yeah, they coming to the wall now. Sir, do yourself some favors. Jon Snow is being boo-boo the fool. That will be my final point. That is what it's coming to. And in the next episode, we're going to see this still come up, how Jon, you're being boo-boo the fool. I wonder, is he going to tell his other siblings? Well, Bran might just go ahead and spill drinks because Bran being new, but Bran had other things in mind. Like I said, Bran was out there being messy and petty and dramatic. He was waiting on Jaime, who showed up in the last shot, waiting on him at the gates. And we see that they're going to be dealing with that to come with. This has been entirely too long. I'm going to try to edit this and shorten it up. Oh my goodness. It's like, for not a lot to happen, you know, actually not a lot did happen, but I still am rambling on with my thoughts. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all have a good, blessed day. And remember that Nikky loves you. Bye.